Today we're back looking at some more entitled parents.
You know what I can't stand is people with kids that act like everyone in the world should just bend over backwards and cater to them.
So this reminds me of a specific shift I worked at that one upscale restaurant with the manager from hell. Now this restaurant was very corporate and very money oriented, and they had procedures in place to make sure they made the most money possible with the least amount of resistance.
So basically they don't really care about their employees is what I'm getting. I'm also going to assume that the workers don't get a wage, which is so crazy to me. In the UK, you know, if you're working somewhere you get paid a wage. You can also get tips on top of that. But in some restaurants and cafes in America, you literally get $1 an hour and you have to rely off tips. That's crazy.
So they never had tables that could accommodate more than 6 people at a time, and they did not accommodate children. No high chairs available, no kids placemats to draw on. If someone ever complained about not having something to accommodate their children, management would basically say, without saying, don't bring them then.
Okay, I know I was just slacking off the restaurant, but I'd actually love to go there. I'm all for people taking their kids to places, but don't take it to places like that, especially if it's like restaurants, which are kind of like fancy. You know, take your kids to a cafe that like other kids are at. Don't take them like a really bougie restaurant.
But on the flip side, this place ran off of good customer service. Like, if your name was in a bad review, you were fired. If a customer complained about anything whatsoever, even if they were in the wrong, 9 times out of 10, they would get their meal comped and you would get in trouble. And I cannot remember the details of the incident, but I do remember that the bartenders, a couple of them ended up getting written up for something because the manager was actually at fault and threw them under the bus so that he wouldn't get in trouble.
Yuck, 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 yuck. Yet again, some managers are just awful. I honestly do believe it's because they're the manager and they think that they're a lot better than everyone else. Like, they literally think they're like Elon Musk, like a big CEO. Sweetheart, you're just a manager.
So there was always a battle about customer satisfaction and not wanting kids. And then this one day, I'm working a lunch shift and a table of 6 gets sat at a round booth. It's 3 adults and 3 very young children. Now the children are making an absolute mess. The parents end up bringing a bunch of food from home. There's Cheerios all over the floor. The kids are playing underneath the round table, like fighting each other, playing around. The parents don't care. No urgency to stop them. They're in a nice upscale place. They don't think that their children are doing anything wrong.
Why would you take your kids to a restaurant like that? Like, it's a restaurant, not like a playhouse. Yet again, that's why I think it's good to have kid-free zones. Not because I hate kids, just because there's certain places you don't take children. You know, there's certain places that people go to eat food, not having kids running around. I'm all for kids having somewhere to play, but not in a restaurant like this. And it's also the fact that he's going under loads of people's tables. Like, imagine if he got booted in the face.
It gets to a point where one of the kids has like a toy train, and the way it was set up was the round table was in the corner and then there were steps to get to the second level. The kid is playing on the steps with this train by the table. The train ends up flying onto the floor, rolling under someone else's table. I end up almost tripping over these kids multiple times because they're just running around and their toys are all over the floor. So finally it gets to the point where I go to my manager and I'm like, please do something about this. This is a hazard. These kids cannot be doing this. But my management knew that these people clearly did not think their kids were doing anything wrong and were going to complain if he said something. So he held off until the incident where he saw the kid's train roll under someone's table and me almost step on him, until he decided it's probably time to intervene. These people freak out, start yelling at him, saying that it's their fault for not having anything to distract their kids, how they're being targeted because they have children, start this whole big scene, refuse to leave but want their entire check comped. The absolute worst case scenario for this manager. I remember I was working a double, so I had to transition from the floor to the bar that night. And this fight went on for a good hour and a half. So I had to transfer the table over to the new server. Their meal got taken care of to get them out, and they tipped 0.
I always wonder how these parents have so much time in their hands. Like, yeah, they got little grubby kids, but like, why are you acting like that? And to be fair, I'm actually kind of happy that they screamed at the manager and not you, mainly because like the manager, by the sound of it, deserves it. The manager doesn't stick up for his employees. I will never ever understand that. I will never ever understand a manager that goes out of his way to be horrible and mean to the employees for the sake of the customer. Like, yeah, they help to pay your wages, but still, if they're being entitled, then treat them like they're entitled. I wish there was adult only places. I don't have kids and sometimes I'd like like to have a nice meal without screaming. See, the thing is, like, I don't hate kids, but I agree with that. It's just because like, you don't want to see them running around. I'm pretty sure some restaurants do have that where they've got like an age limit. I mean, think of it, clubs have an age limit. You're not going to get into a club if you're like under the age 18. So why can't restaurants implement the same rule? The amount of people that let their kids run around the restaurant is crazy. I remember I worked one shift and smashed glass onto myself because of a kid. And the reason why kids shouldn't be allowed in restaurants like that is because they're a safety hazard. You know, the kid was playing right beside the steps match. If he fell down, then the parents sued like the restaurant. The kid have to pay out a big sum of money. And yet again, it's like I don't hate kids. I think kids are lovely. There's just certain places that aren't for kids, and like the parents should know better. It's also the fact that they're having to go with the manager, which I mean, I'm kind of with them in that bit. But it's the fact that they're having to go at him, basically saying there was nothing for the kids. Well, yeah, it's a restaurant and it's not a playhouse. There's a small cafe near me that got overrun with unruly parents. They put up a sign, adults and kids of all ages must use their inside voices. Oh god, don't put that up because the Karens are going to complain. I'm telling you, mum police are going to be after you. Anyways, it's now time to look at r/entitled parent. Parents are more concerned about losing their free dog sitter rather than their supporting daughter. Heard the story yesterday and I'm still angry. For some context, our parents have come into some money relatively recently. They've taken the opportunity to explore the world. They've been away 2 to 3 times already this year, with a couple more booked later in the year. If they like win the lottery, imagine winning the lottery, that would be amazing. Since my sister 20 female and I 23 female don't live at home, me renting with my partner and my sisters at university, I understand that they are taking the chance to go away and enjoy themselves. The issue comes in the fact that they book these trips spontaneously and expect me or my sister to drop any plans we have at the last minute to look after their 2-year-old puppy. Okay, so yeah, I see exactly where this is going. Obviously, mummy and daddy have came across some money, brilliant. However, they've got a pet and they're expecting their children to take care of the pets whenever the children literally can. Could they not just like hire a dog sitter? But it sounds like they've got money. Here's the issue. My sister has recently finished her 2nd year of university and is working as much as she can to save up for her next term. She lives an hour away by train. With some recent strikes, it can be difficult to come home. I know I have a feeling that this story might be from the UK. We have a lot of train strikes because they like the government. And yet again, university in England is very, very expensive. Last week she applied for a second job to earn as much money as possible over the summer. Anybody in the UK knows how hard it is at the minute. She told me yesterday that she was successful and is due to start at the end of the month. I was very happy for her and started making plans to go up and see her. Gotta abuse those discounts. Our parents weren't as enthusiastic. Why? Your child has literally got a job and is gonna be earning money. Why aren't you happy? Instead of congratulating her, the first words out of their mouth was, who's gonna look after our dog when we go away? I don't know, maybe you guys could take care of the dog because it is your dog, or hire like a dog sitter. I got so angry. They've become so selfish since they've come into this money. They don't even cover the real funds for my sister to come home. They think they can exploit her to dog sit for free. So she's not even gonna get paid for it. These parents are expecting her to take care of their dog with the very scarce time that she has as a uni student. I mean, talk about entitlement. While this may not be the most entitled situation compared to what I've seen in this sub, I needed to rant. I mean, I'm with you. By the sounds of it, your parents seem like absolute idiots. They basically got a load of money and now they're like, oh, do you want to do something? We've got a dog, but we don't need to take care of her. We can just go on holiday. Let's force our children to do it. If they've got money, why don't they just pay a babysitter or get a neighbour to do it? If they can afford to go on spontaneous holidays away, they can afford a paid dog sitter or a decent place to board the puppy. The sense of entitlement is theirs to bear and not yours to fix if they won't. It certainly isn't your other sibling. Congrats to your sister. Tell her to keep her head down and working and be awesome. Exactly. Literally don't get your sister to take care of the stupid dog or help pay for her education. Oh my god, yes. I didn't even realise that the parents literally got money they could help pay for like the sister's university. University is very, very expensive. Most kids come out completely bankrupt. You know, they're in serious debt. And these parents are literally spending all the money on holidays. Why don't you take the kids when like a family holiday? Oh yeah, I forgot they don't care about them. It's quite crazy how money can change someone, isn't it? Like it really does open your eyes. Entitled parents tell me to F off in my own yard, enjoy your free shower. A few years ago, I lived in a house that was a block away from a public park. It was a very large park and I noticed 2 soccer games occurring when I left one Saturday to go to the grocery store. When I returned home about 45 minutes later, I noticed there was a truck parked beside my property. The occupants of that truck were on my property. There was 2 children dressed in soccer uniforms, their mum and dad, and a large Doberman. A Doberman is a dog, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. Sorry, I was getting a wee bit confused there. The Doberman was lying in a picnic blanket. The parents were setting up their family's picnic lunch and the children were chasing each other all in my front lawn. I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh, so this is in your front lawn. I don't know if this story's American or British. I think it might be American front lawn. Basically, front lawn is like front garden. So you know in the UK, if you've got like a back garden and a front garden, they've basically set up a picnic in the person's front garden. I pulled my car into my driveway and walked over to the family asking them why they were on my property. The entitled mother then snarked at me, what does it look like? We're eating lunch. Well, how about you eat lunch somewhere else? Honestly, if I were you, I'd snatch your little picnic blanket and like throw it on the ground. I asked why are they not eating in the public park that is a block away, and she responded, it's more peaceful here. In complete shock, I then said, this is private property and you all need to leave. The mother's response was, go F yourself, you little babe. Oh my god, sis, mother's literally trespassed onto your front lawn, aka your front garden, and it's now having to go with you. Nah, I'm so sorry, what's up with these people? I was furious. I paid a mortgage mortgage, I do all the lawn work, and you think it's okay to trespass and tell me where to go on my own property. So this was the easiest revenge ever. Oh my god, really good revenge would be to hose them, get hose and proper soak them. I walked right beside them to the outside tap that was attached to my sprinkler system and turned it on. The family started screaming and grabbed all their stuff as they ran to their truck. The mother and father screamed the whole time and said that they were going to get me. Well, this is where revenge number 2 came in. I downloaded my security camera footage which showed their license plate and brought it to the next door neighbour who just happened to be a police officer who was working that day. The parents were charged with trespassing and had a smile on my face for the rest of the day. Oh my god, look at you, proper soaked them and got them arrested. I mean, yet again, that's what they deserve. How are you literally going to go into someone's front garden, put a picnic down with your dog and start eating and have a go at them? They deserve everything that they got. A redditor in this thread actually has a very similar story. I never used to believe stories like this until I moved to a home that butted up against a public beach. Oh my god, can we talk about this? I think everyone wants to have like a beach view house. However, it does come with some other things, aka people getting into your gardens. When I first moved in, I had people walking through my yard constantly. They'd use my house to rinse off, help themselves to the beach gear, and as I cleared the wasteful weeds that covered the entire yard when I moved in, they camp out in the cleared space. I caught a couple of guys stealing an old grill the previous owners had left, and when I came out, they said they were just helping me take out the trash. Oh my god, so you're literally doing this in your bloody garden. Fencing cameras went in after that. While I was installing the fence, a girl I'd never met screamed at me for blocking her path to the beach. She insisted that I had to build a walkway enough for her to carry a colour through. Screw your colour and screw you. And when I did not respond as she wished, she threw a yogurt at me and accused me of blocking her public access. What is up with these people? Why are they so bloody entitled? I couldn't legally put up a fence in the beach side, and people were always coming into my yard to use the grass as a picnic area or use my outdoor shower. They get so offended when I tell them to leave. They'd rip out the plant on the edge of the property to make sigs for themselves, and I finally reached a point where I'd see people and break out a hose. I'd accidentally spray them until they left. That's what you have to do, soak them. I mean, at the end of the day, if they would have go into your garden, just completely ruin their day. All of that ended when I brought home a very large and very grumpy dog. The dog was completely contained, but the trespassers didn't know that and always took off when she started barking. See, that's the one time it's actually good to have a loud dog. Usually I hate dogs that bark 24/7, but if you've got a house like that, a barking dog would be perfect.
I'm a pediatrician. I love kids. I love parents. This is why I went into this field. But I will never forget a patient who I took care of when I was a resident. The 3rd-year resident, I was 8 months pregnant, and I was doing a rotation called sick resident, which basically means we see all the sick kids in the clinic. I was trying my hardest not to get sick with something because, you know, if you get a cold, you could possibly even trigger preterm labor. And I was already just like miserable, had a call coming up, like that pregnancy rhinitis was there. I did not want to get sick.
Well, you're in a really bad job if you don't want to get sick, if you're constantly around sick children. With adults, if we usually cough, we cover our mouth. Not kids, though, they cough like cats.
And I was pretty damn good at not getting sick. Lo and behold, a mother comes in. Her husband is a surgeon, so she had the tendency to talk down to residents. Not to mention her 5-year-old son who came in for a sick visit, runny nose, cold-like symptoms, bad behavior, naughty little boy, but also had some ADHD that I'm quite sure was untreated. And she just did not want to step in at all and try to be a parent. So here I am, 8 months pregnant, so quite large belly, if you will, and this little kid is just running around the room, trying to fight me, refusing to comply with the exam, and the mom just doesn't care, like hands crossed on her phone, and does not care.
I cannot stand parents like that. Like, I'm so sorry if you take a kid out somewhere and the kid's being loud, control them, literally contaminate the noise. I just can't stand it. It really gets on my nerves. Like, I'm telling you right now, whenever I hear and see a screaming, crying kid, I want to go over and slap it.
But at the point that he's on the exam table, that's in the corner, in the very corner, he is wedged in and he's refusing to comply. I'm like, listen, lady, I can't get up on the table. Like, are you gonna help me? Oh, okay. I don't remember what his name was, so let's call him like Seth. Oh, okay, Seth, come on, listen to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. Look, she has a baby in her tummy. Don't you want to help her? No, he's like completely just like not interested in being compliant at all. By the time we limp through the exam and I'm trying to explain my assessment plan to her that, hey, he has a cold, he was going to get better, things to look out for. She puts her surgeon husband on speakerphone so that he can listen as well. And again, she's saying, well, she's just a resident. I'm not really sure if she knows what she's talking about, which... God,
ew.
Just feels so
How
good.
rude.
By the way, I was in my last year of residency, so I kind of did know what I was talking about, but whatever. At this point, her son is just like running around us. And then I am actually standing back against the counter in the exam room to be able to talk. He literally lays on the floor. I'm wearing a dress and looks up and says, I don't see a baby in there.
What?
She has the audacity to laugh. Like, lady, what the crap? What the crap? not funny. Teach your kids some manners. I was done. I was so out of it. And you know what? He coughed on my face, and this was pre-mask, and I ended up getting sick. But I'll never forget them. She really had the audacity to, I don't know, feel so entitled.
Lord almighty, that was a proper story, wasn't it? Yet again, how's that mum gonna take her child to a professional and be like, oh, I don't know if we can actually trust them? By the sounds of it, the child doesn't even need to be there, you know, just give the kid like a few paracetamol. This is something that I found out recently. Apparently people love to go to a hospital and like the doctor. People get like a cold and automatically go to like a hospital, like the NHS hospitals. I'm sorry, you don't need to do that. You only really need to go to a hospital or like a doctor's place if you're like seriously ill. If you got like a cold, like you can just look it up in Google. I think I seen a post recently about that. It was like, if you've got a cold, go to like a pharmacy. Don't go to your doctors, don't go to a hospital. Are people actually going to hospitals because of colds? As a non-medical person, why wouldn't someone trust residents? I've only had great experiences. Well, by the sounds of it, the woman's husband was like a professional. So it's like, of course, you know, professional. Please tell me this kind of behavior is rare. It is for me in my practice now, but definitely more common at busier practices. Wait, so that's like a common thing. Kids are constantly looking up your skirt. That's very sketchy. Well, anyways, guys, that's where I leave that video there. That is some entitled nightmare parents. If you ever have to come across a parent like that, I feel bad for you, and fingers crossed it'll never happen to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see me looking more entitled people, let me know, I definitely will. Press the big red subscribe button, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video.